So Four Nights the Apocalypse Episode 2 has released, and in my honest opinion, full-on, complete, honest review of this episode. It was fine. Honestly, it didn't blow me away like Episode 1. The animation, voice acting, and even the presentation and directing didn't hit the same as Episode 1, and I think it was intentional due to the fact that Episode 1 needs to sell you on the series and set everything up, and I think Episode 1 did a fantastic job with that. However, Episode 2 noticeably does have a bit of a downgrade in terms of, well, animation at the very bare minimum and the content in it. And while it is a good episode, it didn't blow me away, and I think a lot of people are kind of feeling the same way. Though what really saves it is the start of a fight, introduction of Donnie, and obviously the introduction of probably one of the best characters in the series, at least for me, a personal favorite of mine, Pellegarde. I love Pellegarde so much. The guy always brightens up the screen. Every time I see him in the manga, he puts a smile on my face. I just want to see this guy do whatever the hell he wants. I could have a whole spin-off series of just Pellegarde's solo adventures. Anime onlys probably don't feel attached to him yet, but trust me, you will. You will. But that unnecessarily long introduction out of the way, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help and ensures you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel. I'll be trying to cover the anime weekly, as I also do manga reviews for the actual manga Four Nights the Apocalypse every single week, so look forward to those if you want to see more of the manga and see what happens beyond the anime, as well as other stuff pertaining to either Four Nights, Seven Deadly Sins, or just anime and manga in general that I feel like talking about. These reviews are going to be a bit different than my manga reviews. I'm not going to go beat by beat every single piece of dialogue, beat by dialogue, otherwise we'll be here all day. I'm just going to go general summary of each interaction and give my own personal thoughts on the episode as it is, along with my criticisms and praises. Now that out of the way, let's get right into the video. So one thing I need to note that I really liked about this episode is the beginning of it. Something I noted with the last episode is that when Vargas was talking about, well, stories of Britannia and myths and legends to get Percival to go out on an adventure, there was a storybook aesthetic when he went to talking about those, and at the beginning of this episode we have a brief narration basically summarizing the Seven Deadly Sins series as a whole, with a coup d'etat of the Holy Knights, which led into a holy war against the goddess demon clans, and with the Seven Deadly Sins saving the world and bring about an era of peace, and that this story takes place 16 years later. And this is done by Elizabeth's voice actress, which I absolutely love, and I like the storybook stage aesthetic that is used for this, and I don't mind this being a start at the beginning of every episode. While I do like the thing that we had at the beginning of the Seven Deadly Sins anime with the This is a Story of Ancient Times, I think this fits a bit better with this story due to the fact that it does feel like more of an adventure and it is a sequel. And I feel like some people probably haven't seen Seven Deadly Sins originally and end up jumping on this. This will be a quick refresher just to be okay, and they might be interested to see Seven Deadly Sins, for all I know. Either way, I like this addition. It's really nice. It's really cool. Next up, Percival meeting Sin for the first time is still kind of funny, and just the fact that Percival has to chase Sin around as Sin just disappears out of nowhere, but ends up just looking and watching Percival from a distance throughout the entirety of the episode gives you the idea that there's something more to this fox. And I like Percival's meeting with Donnie and the rest of the traveling circus troupe. I like their interactions, their ideas of Holy Knights, and I also kind of like that when Percival says who he's looking for, Ironside, he does show actual anger and resentment towards Ironside for killing his grandfather, but doesn't know if he really wants revenge. Right now he just wants to know why he went and looked for them in the first place and killed his grandfather before having anything. But he still wants to beat the stuffing out of him anyway. So I know Chibi Percival is always something I liked in the manga, and the anime is doing a really good job with it. Adorable and hilarious. And what's also hilarious is the scene where Percival tries to actually shoot a bow and arrow, but the arrow somehow turns around and just shaves the side of Donnie's head. No notes, I just find that kind of funny. But we then get up to a moment that I honestly really like and always sticks with me whenever it comes to the beginning of Four Nights. And that is when a village is under attack by a giant wolf, and Donnie ends up thinking it's a normal wolf, says, we'll go take care of it. And then the second he sees that it's a giant ass wolf that's trying to eat a house, he's just like, yeah, nope, I'm out of here. And the fact that Percival tries to take out the wolf with a bow and arrow fails miserably and gets Donnie hurt in the process as Donnie tries to save Percival, shows Donnie does have a heroic side to him and will do the right thing. But at the end of the day, I just like the fact that Percival just stops like one of the paws from this wolf, jumps up and just bitch slaps the wolf flat into the ground, taking it out instantly, showcasing just how strong Percival is in comparison to everybody else at this point, who isn't a holy knight, and to an extent, most holy knights. And he becomes the hero of this little village. The scene where him and Alba are taking a bath together, which I will entirely skip because, you know, monetization. Didn't really like the scene too much in the manga as I go back to it, but they did like remove certain elements of it that involves Percival just curiously groping at her. So I'm kind of glad they removed that, because at least the last thing we need is more people making assumptions about the series. And more specifically, Percival, the precious cinnamon roll that we all quickly get to love and adore. And the scene does serve a purpose in terms of basically pointing out that Percival is more or less seemingly built to be a holy knight, and Percival's being told what a holy knight is by Alba, as it is also in a storybook like fairy tale aesthetic when it's being told to him, with the Holy Knight's Creed, and also a big focus on Percival's scar, as it is implied that the attack from Ironside did go right through him, yet somehow he healed almost instantaneously, leaving a permanent scar on his body. Now, to first-time viewers, you'll be like, how did Percival survive this? Well, those are manga spoilers, and that ends up getting elaborated on much later. But all you know is, yes, that is a deadly wound that literally just finished healing up. And I do like the attention to detail on the scar, as it looks like it is just finished healing and is going to leave an actual scar. The detail is nice on it. And when we cut to the villagers having a party celebrating Percival saving the day, and in this instance, Percival reveals that he's 16, and we get one of the funniest spit takes in anime history. At least to me, I think it's a bit funny in the manga with how the paneling works, but just Alba realizing that Percival is 16 after what just happened earlier, realizing they're the same age, I just find hilarious. It also makes me kind of not too fond of Percival's voice again, due to the fact that he is short, and people tend to confuse him for an actual child, but his voice is more of someone that's going through a puberty type thing, so it'd be a lot harder for people to think that he's a kid if he has a deeper voice. So if he has a higher pitched voice, it'd make more sense that people would think he was a kid. Again, nitpick there like in the first episode, but we'll get used to Percival's voice as the series goes on. Anyway, hilarity with that ensues. We're not going to linger on it too much as we continue with Percival trying to interview the townspeople, wondering if they know who Ironside is. But as he just screams it out into the heavens, the man, the myth, the legend Pellegarde appears on his flying shield. And yes, it is a magic item that allows him to fly on his shield. And it's like he just lands on the ground, just going up, wondering, oh, Percival, Ironside's son, is alive, maybe Vargas is alive, and Percival just wants to get answers on who Ironside is and why he did what he did. Ironside just shoves Cass aside as Cass is trying to defend Percival and be sensitive to the fact that he lost his grandfather. Pellegarde accidentally just pushes him back with a lot of force, and actually injuring him a little bit as Pellegarde apologizes. Shows that even though he's seemingly an enemy, he actually doesn't want to harm anybody and actually has a good heart. I mentioned this scene that's right here showcases how Percival and Ironside are kind of on the same wavelength to a certain extent. They're both talking and asking questions, like Percival asking about Ironside, his grandfather, while Pellegarde is being like, very nice, you have potential. I want to train you. Let's have at this and see how much I could teach you, and I'll take you to be my apprentice. Neither of them are listening to each other, and then it somehow ends up landing with them on the same page, getting ready to fight against each other. Now, as very obvious, Pellegarde, in certain scenes, is in full CG. Now, certain instances, I will say, not too appealing. Some of which, honestly not bad, and doesn't really bother me at all. It's kind of a mixed bag with the CG in this episode, and he switches between 2D and 3D a lot. Though the fight does start, it's more of just Percival pushing Pellegarde back, trying to do a few hits, Pellegarde pushing Percival away. But the thing that does kind of like bring the action down a bit in comparison to the first episode is that there's a lot more ghosting and even dimming in this episode, which, as we all kind of know from other series, is due to prevent seizures. but it also bogs down the action scenes that would actually be relatively good and well animated. So most of them get removed in Blu-ray releases of this section, but it does bog down the action for me in comparison to episode 1, which was quick but fluid. This one, not so much, but it does its job. It's still a fun fight, at least for the beginning. The real fight is going to start next episode. Now, the thing I like, while Pellegarde is literally holding Percival by the face, he's complimenting him on his bravery and going into battle, but also in how he still thought he could win without even using a weapon, much less magic. And he's shocked that Percival doesn't have any magic or is even using magic. But it makes this even more worth training Percival. This is something that is a big through line with Pellegarde and Percival's dynamic as they meet a few more times at this point, is Pellegarde being adamant about training Percival. And it shows with their first interaction and later interactions. The two of them kind of have a bit of a kinship in a sense. Like I said, they're on the same wavelength to an extent, and Pellegarde probably sees a lot in the young boy, probably of himself, and why he feels responsible for wanting to train him instead of taking him out. And I just find this wholesome as heck, and makes me love Pellegarde even more. It's also elevated by Pellegarde's voice actor in this anime. But yeah, as everyone's wondering what they're going to do, hoping for help, a child that Percival inspired ends up calling out to Percival, stating that he'll be able to beat Pellegarde no matter what, because he's strong. And in that instance, a bright flash of light occurs. Percival manages to push Pellegarde away, as Pellegarde wonders, "You say you have no magic, but what is that power?" As we see Percival's hands glowing a bright light, ending the episode. And this is when Percival's magic power actually awakens. And we'll get to see more exploration of what Percival's power is in the next episode. Now, like I said, this episode was kind of fine. Nothing too spectacular happened. The voice acting was still good. I still particularly love Pellegarde's. I still have problems with Percival's voice. They altered the Alba scene to it not being too jarring, so that's perfectly fine. I think most manga fans are going to be like, okay, I understand this change and I'm fine with it. We could have been with like, okay, we didn't need the scene at all, just alter it. But it is what it is. I'm perfectly fine with it. It is what it is. It's a quick 2-minute scene. I don't think anyone's going to be too obsessed over it. Action, yes, was bogged down by a lot of dimming and ghosting, but it still did its job, and even with some of the CG with Pellegarde, it was hit or miss. But I think it hit a bit more than it missed, at least for me. And I think it'll only get better with the CG for the knights as this series goes on, because the knights do have a lot of detail with their armor, and having to animate all that in 2D would require a lot, and I mean a lot of time and effort for each animator. So having it in 3D CG for at least half the time for the motion makes a lot of sense. And with Percival awakening his power, I like the scene, and with how he awakens his power, it makes sense for how this moment, looking back, he awakens his power in this moment, makes sense with future knowledge from the manga. Anime fans, I cannot wait for you to see more of what Percival has coming. But yeah, good episode all around. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And I can't wait to see more of Pellegarde and this initial fight in episode 3. Because I feel like if they're going to put more into the action, it's going to be in episode 3. As that is going to be one of the big episodes for this opening set. And that'll be the end of the first arc of the anime, which is the Percival arc, which contains the first 6 chapters, which will be these first 3 episodes. So next week, we'll end the Percival arc and hit straight into the next one. And I can't wait to see more of Pellegarde. I know I've said Pellegarde a lot, but Pellegarde is probably one of my favorite characters. My fan base knows this, and I will sing it to high heaven. But what did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you underwhelmed? Do you think it was okay? Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below, and if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel, and I cannot wait to keep making more content on the Four Knights anime, as well as the manga on a weekly basis. I got a lot of stuff planned for this year outside of these reviews that are Four Knights related and are not Four Knights related, to look forward to all that. But with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.